Eddie, how are you, brother? Thank you for your time today.
I'm good, man, and you're welcome. I'm a massive fan of yourself, as you know, and we've hung out a little bit on the scenes. So yeah, nice to be on.
That is correct. I'm seeing you pop up on my feed a lot lately. I've seen you with Tom Aspinall doing a bit of training.
Yes, so I sponsor Tom through Pharm, so my supplement company. Yeah, so I've got my own supplement company called Pharm. Do like protein and pre-workouts and stuff, and we sponsor Tom, and it was all about the same time I signed a contract to fight in Qatar in MMA. So it was just like worked in really well. I was like, right, I've just signed Tom. So I went up and trained with him for quite a bit, for a number of months. Quite handy.
Yeah. Did I see a video of him kicking you in the leg?
Yeah, not too hard though, but through a pad he did, yeah.
Oh, okay. What's this? Oh, Brian's got it. He's going to stick it on here.
But I do have someone who'll do it. Louis, come on. This guy will give you a leg kick.
Well, this guy. How old are you?
Oh, Jesus, Eddie.
If he goes the correct technique, all shin to thigh just above your knee, that's going to be painful.
Okay, what's my stance then, mate?
That's perfect.
Yeah?
That's perfect. Just stay like that.
Go on. Oh,
That'll do, Brian. Thank you. The little bastard.
Little bastard. That's what I wanted to say, yeah.
He really went for it. How old was he? About 10?
He was 9 years old. He nearly broke my leg.
Right. So for anyone that doesn't know, Eddie, are you still the world's strongest man?
Well, I mean, technically, once you've won it, you're always the world's strongest man, So, yeah, I am. Let's just say
the world's strongest bastard on planet Earth. How does one become that? I know, obviously, you enter competitions and all the rest of it, but tell me about your journey, your path to becoming who you are today.
So I started lifting weights when I was 14 years of age. And that firstly was like getting into bodybuilding because I wanted to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, get on the bodybuilding scene. And then I quickly found, I think around about 17, that bodybuilding and looks and aesthetics wasn't really my thing. It was strength. So I started lifting these huge weights, started entering strongman competitions. First show at 19. And then I won England Strongest Man at 22, UK Strongest Man at 23, made it to World Strongest Man at 24, and then won the World Strongest Man at 29. And set the 500 kilo deadlift world record along the way just for a laugh.
Wow. So, and for those American listeners, which we're predominantly an American show, even though we're worldwide, we've got a big fan base in Uganda. It's true, we do. 500 kilos, what is that in pounds? That's about
1,102 pounds on the dot.
1,100 pounds. Jesus Christ. Eddie, that is just ridiculous. That is, I mean, were you always a strong guy growing up?
I've always been into sport, so I guess you're always strong if, from 5 years age, I was in a swimming club training 6-7 times a week in a swimming club. So I guess when you've always been in sport, you're always big and strong, aren't you? And I guess, good genetics. So I've always been the big, strong lad of wherever I've been. And
what about benching?
So bench press, bit of a tough one because I never actually went for a max bench, but I could do 6 plates aside. So that's 265 kilo. What's that in pounds? Like 600 pounds something. I could do that. That's a lot. Yeah, I could do that for 6 reps. That was because I never went for a max. So my max would have been around the 720, 740 pounds, something like that.
Wow, unbelievable. How old are you now, Eddie?
36.
36, looking good, but buddy, you're just a pup.
I know, I am really. Yeah.
You are. You're a little cuddly teddy bear. It's easy to say from the other side of the world. Obviously, health and fitness is a massive part of life, and more people should pay attention to it. And I think now it's starting to get, there's a big focus on it. But what would you say to a lot of people? What advice could you give to anyone that's out there and they feel like they're out of shape and they're just too far gone? Because I think that's the mindset for some people, right? They get out of shape, they get a bit depressed, and they just think, what's the point? I'm too fat, for want of a better word.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there. When I was at my biggest, I was 196 kilo. So 435 pounds was what I weighed when I was at my absolute biggest. And when you're that size, it's like in order to get to a healthy level, you lose 100 pounds. It just seems impossible. honestly, like simple shit, like just simple stuff. Like one of the best decisions I ever made was getting a dog and going for a walk every single morning and evening with my dog and just do a mile walk. And it's so good for dropping weight and more so your mental health as well. And then food. Like there's so much bollocks out there at the minute, all these chemicals in and processed foods that they're called. I just stick to the basics, just meat, eggs, vegetables, butter, high fats, just keep the carbs low. Just it's basic shit. And people just get so suckered in with this bullshit in the supermarkets, whereas this is healthy for you. And it's 9 times out of 10, it's not, just eat lots of protein, lots of fats, and you'll be healthy.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, isn't it? Because even like governments come out and say eggs are bad for you, too much meat is bad for you. I always say human beings, as long as they've been around, have been eating animal diets. It's all this new stuff, this new crap, the processed foods. Don't get me wrong. You got to treat yourself now and again. Have some cakes, have some biscuits, have whatever your guilty pleasure may be. But it is pretty simple, to be honest, as you say.
It is. I think people used to ask me what my diet was when I was at my biggest, and it was like 70% clean eating and then 30% cheesecake. That was literally my diet. Whereas now it's like 90% clean eting, 10% cheesecake.
Mine's probably, I would say, 80% clean eating, 20% alcohol. Yeah. I just said to my father-in-law, they're just leaving, they were visiting, and I just had a quick protein shake before we started this, and I said to my wife, put half a banana in it. And she said, why only half a banana? I said, well, it's too many carbs. And then she says, it's not. And I said to my father-in-law, joking, I said, I've got to save my carbs for the beer. Yeah,
that's a good point.
I'm joking, but I'm a little bit serious at the same time. So you mentioned your eating there. I saw a video of you and Tom, and he was trying to match what you eat in a day. Take us through an average day of eating for the beast, Eddie Hall.
So right now it's pretty good. Back in the day, not so good. But very balanced diet. I have probably 200 grams of smoked salmon for my breakfast, 2 pieces of sourdough, 300 grams of cottage cheese, 200 grams of carrots, 200 grams of blueberries. That takes us to lunch. Probably about 450 to 500 grams of steak or chicken, 300 grams of rice, 200 grams of veg, and I just smother that with about 5-6 eggs, loads of butter. Snack is, probably another steak or beef jerky or something like that. And again, 200 grams of rice and 200 grams of vegetables. And then evening meal, same as lunch really, just like half a kilo of meat, 300 grams of carbs, 200 grams of veggies. And then I have another meal at night, the classics a meal. And I try and have something fermented before I go to bed. So I'll have like 400 or 500 grams of cottage cheese or Greek yogurt and just a little bit of raisins or something in there.
Right. So that's a lot of food, though. But it is, as you say, it's all, for the most part, it's all natural, clean produce. Yeah.
And I make sure I drink 10 liters, at least 10 liters of water every day.
Yeah. Explain that to me, because I try and drink a lot of water. And my wife always goes on at me. She gives me shit. You're obsessed. You're obsessed with drinking water. I'm not obsessed. I'm trying to be healthy.
So I've got a 2.5 liter jug I carry absolutely everywhere with me. So if you see me anywhere in the world, I will have this with me. There's no doubt. And I'll get through 4 of these every day. And it's just so easy. I just know by the time I've sort of mid-morning, I've drunk 1. After lunch, I've got to drink 2. By my third snack, I've got to drink 3. And then I make sure I have my 4th before 8 p.m. So I'm not getting up for a piss all night.
And just explain that to me, because obviously you want to stay hydrated. It's good for your skin and all the rest of it. It helps digestion. For me, a big thing that I'm on right now, I've got my water here. It's not as big as yours. Water with salt. I'm putting a lot of salt in my water because obviously there's all these sports drinks and electrolytes and all the rest of it. It's bollocks. All you need is water with a bit of salt and a bit of lemon juice. But tell me the theory behind drinking such a massive amount of water.
Well, I think just being my size, I sweat a lot, because I run at a higher temperature than most people because of my size. I'm training twice a day, doing it probably equates to about 3.5 hours of training. And then basically, liver and kidneys are a little bit more strained than the average person. So just that extra volume of water just keeps the organs flushed out and everything.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Pretty straightforward. But the pissing in the night is an issue.
It is. But you've got to do it. So
right. Talk to me about mixed martial arts, Eddie, because you're coming in. If I Google your name, it comes up that you're having a 2-versus-1 fight against some influencer brothers. Tell me about how this happened.
So, I mean, it started about 8-9 months ago. I got an offer to fight MMA in Qatar against Mitchell Hooper. And that was like a prize fighter kind of thing. And then the second fight would have been against either Brian Shaw or Martyn Ford, whoever won out of those two. So it would have been like a dropout scenario, the best of 4 kind of thing. That at the very last minute, the Ministry of Sport in Qatar got arrested for fraud. So that all fell through. And I was left with basically 6 months of training and nothing to show for it. So just been talking to loads of different outfits, talking to Misfits, talking to other like Russian and Polish MMA outfits, and I've finally got something in the bank. So this first fight will be a 2v1. I'm going to call them children because they're quite small. About 70 kilo, about 5'5", 5'6", about 70 kilo in body weight. But there's 2 of them. They both had a few MMA fights, and I thought this would be a nice start. But the idea being is to do this, and then that will lead to more fights, and it has exactly done that. So people have heard, people have got whispers, and I've had loads of people approaching me now with good offers. So it's done the job. Yeah,
I mean, obviously it sounds like it's going to be a bit of fun. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. No. I mean, they are literally that small. I don't think they can hurt me. Like even if I stood there and let me kick me as hard as they could, I don't think they could hurt.
70 kilos. If they're trained, they can pack a punch. They can choke you out. I mean. Yeah. I'm going to say 2 UFC fighters at 70 kilos. How long have you been grappling, Eddie?
I've got 9 months now.
Oh, gee, a good 9 months.
Might as well be a pro, you know?
Exactly. So what are we going to do? Are you going to just unleash on them 100%? Are you going to knock these out? Or what's the plan?
So, I mean, the plan is just to stand and fight. So if I ever hit the floor, got all the sort of experience now just to get up and back to fists. I guess you're right. I guess the best tactic would be concentrate on one, knock him out, and then pick him up and knock the other one out with the body, you know. So, but yeah, concentrate on one and then work out the other second. Like just ignore him for the time being. And that's the only way, really.
And when's that happening and where can we watch?
So June the 7th, World Freak Fight League. So if you look them up on Instagram, all the pay-per-views on there and everything. So
I'm going to watch.
Yeah, it's like a big live stream to it. Awesome, that'd be great.
Yeah, no, I'm going to. You mentioned Martyn Ford there, known as you're the world's strongest man. He's the world's scariest man, or the world's most inspirational on Instagram. If you follow him, fucking hell, he doesn't like to lecture, does he? No. he's a great guy, Martyn. I worked with him on a film a couple of years ago, and he told me then that he was thinking about a fight. So it must have been what you just mentioned, right?
Probably could have been, yeah. So he was on the Qatar card until he got all squashed. And then, I've been trying to lure him into another fight with myself, but he's just so busy with his film work, which is fair play. Out of the two, that's definitely the better option, isn't it? If you had the choice, you're going to go for that. Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. I've got a film role coming up later this year. Without bragging, it's my first lead role, so I'm excited. Oh, wow. So I'm trying to get into shape for it. So if you could give me some advice, because I've been lifting a lot of weights now, and it's bodybuilding stuff. You know what I mean? Every day I'm just focusing on muscle groups and all the rest of it. But I'm not really making the gains that I'm looking for. What would be some advice that you could give to somebody like me that was trying to get as lean as possible, but get as big as possible? Because I think that's where I'm going wrong. I know about diet, I know about nutrition. But I think I'm starving myself whilst trying to build. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing a lot of fasting. What would you say that's the wrong thing?
I would say if you want to put mass on fasting, stay away from fasting. Super high protein, get lots of fats in there. So ribeye steaks, don't talk about with the fillets or anything. No. So ribeye steaks, cook them in butter, put eggs on them, cook the eggs in butter, If you have vegetables, put butter on the vegetables. Have your potatoes, put butter on the potatoes. Just protein and fats. And use carbs. I think the best advice I give you to stay lean is only eat carbs to fuel your training session. So if you train in the morning, eat 150 grams of carbs before your training session. Evening, same again. Other than that, don't eat carbs. That way you won't really store any fat.
Yeah, no, what I've been trying to do is, in my mentality, is lose the fat first, you know what I mean, and then try and build on it from there. But I'm probably doing it all wrong. Talk to me about Tom Aspinall and training with him. So you said you're training. Are you training with Tom and his dad and the whole team?
So, it's like a big outfit. Meeting him in a gym in Liverpool, St. Helens. Just joining the sessions. I've done a few sparring sessions with Tom, actually. That was awakening. Jesus. Just going up, sparring with the lads, doing some of the grappling stuff. The last time I went and trained with Tom, we did 5 2-minute rounds sparring. And that was good fun because I think he had to, like, I'm not going to say obviously he could whoop my ass within a minute, but I think he had to step it up a bit.
He had to work.
He had to work. He definitely had to work. Yeah. No. That you're allowed to say that, Eddie. You're you're the world's strongest man, for crying out loud. I think he would have to work. What do you think about this upcoming fight with him and Curtis Blaydes? Are you a fan of the UFC? Do you follow the sport? Yeah. So the last time he fought Curtis, he blew his knee out, didn't he? So I think there's going to be a little bit of nerves there for Tom in that respect. There's sort of anything like that happening again. But it's going to be some nice redemption for Tom, I think, because Curtis won, obviously, the last fight, but it's not the right way to win, is it? I mean, it was like, I can't remember, but it was less than a minute into the fight, I think.
15 seconds.
15 seconds, and he blew his knee out. So Curtis in my mind, couldn't really count that as a win. It was more of it was a doctor's stoppage, I don't know, but that'll be working in the heads of both the athletes, that's for sure. And I know Tom will want to redeem himself and prove that he can beat Curtis.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This weekend is UFC 302, Islam Makhachev, Dustin Poirier. I'm not trying to put you on the spot and test your MMA knowledge. Have you got any thoughts on that fight?
I think Poirier is great. He's a great personality. Keeps his head down, not too egotistical. You know what I'm trying to say.
You can get it. Come on, take another try. You've got it, buddy.
I got it. So he's quite humble. He knows his levels, and he looks confident to me. And I think that's with Poirier. That's a good sign.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, so we're going to ask Harrington, our producer, to come on here, and he's going to give you some fan questions from Twitter. So I'm going to apologize in advance for Harrington.
In advance.
He always picks the dumbest questions. I'm like, what is this shit? Okay. Like I won't get into it. I'm not going to bring it up. But Harrington, are you even there? This was I'm filling time for you to jump on. He's not even here. Oh,
I'm here. Eddie,
hey, buddy.
How are you, man?
Hold on.
I'm good.
Can I just say one thing?
Okay.
He wanted to bring on, I won't say who it was, he wanted to bring on some female guests just to be in the background because they're massive fans of yours, Eddie. And he was like, do you mind if I bring on these two girls and they can be in the background and they can ogle all over Eddie? I'm like, well, that's just awkward for everybody.
I bet you're used to it.
I would say yes, but my wife might watch this. So
I'm going to say he's a married man. You know what I mean? We're not trying to get anyone in trouble here. Harrington, what's the first question for Eddie, please?
Okay. So this one I thought was super interesting. From Scotia Steve, if Eddie makes light work of 2 people at once, will he up the number of people next time? Is it a possibility for 3, 4, 5 guys at a time?
That's a great question. I think I'd have to wait and see how this one goes. Obviously, how much lighter they are than me is a big thing. I think, let's say they come in at the heaviest at 70 kilo. Combine them both together, I've still got 25 kilos on these guys. So it's a big difference. It's just got to wait and see. If I smash these 2 up, then bring more on. Why not?
Just talk to me about what those training sessions look like when you're sparring. Are you bringing in 2 guys to actually spar at the same time?
So I'm quite lucky. I've got a I coach G Oaks, and his son is a European kickboxing champion in K1. So, and they're both, I think one's 100 and something kilo, one's about 90 something kilo. So they're quite big guys. So I've had those two mauling me, during the sparring sessions. It's been interesting because they can both bang really hard. So that it's been, I've really had to cover up and sort of bang and move, a lot of footwork. And of course, it means double the cardio because you've got to bang again, move twice. So what I've really had to concentrate on this time around is the cardio more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, when I was training, getting ready for a fight, the cardio was my main focus, because once you get tired in a fight, you're done. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So I always found it hard to maintain muscle mass and maintain my power and my strength, because I was also dieting down to 185 pounds as well. You know what I'm saying? It was an absolute goddamn nightmare. Let me ask you, Eddie, you seem like a very mild-mannered guy. Obviously we only met once at the Arnold Expo, and what I've seen of you online, you seem like a very nice guy. But is there another side to Eddie Hall? Like growing up, were you an angry kid?
I would say yes when I was younger. Yeah, I grew up in Stoke-on-Trent, and I worked security on the doors, so I've had my fair share. I'm not going to sit here and tell stories, but I've had to get fisticuffs quite a lot throughout my sort of teenage years, especially.
Yeah, you had to get your hands dirty. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, good. You've got some interesting stories. Have you ever written a book, Eddie? Is that on the cards one day?
I've written 2 books. Yeah, World's Strongest.
Now I feel terrible.
World's Strongest Book.
Well, I'm the world's biggest dickhead. Sorry, Eddie. So hold on, the world's Strongest Book, and what's the other one called?
Strongman, My Story.
Okay. I mean, like, if you were a nice guy, you'd send me a copy. I'd love to read your story.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's my fault, isn't it? Not yours.
I'll send you one of mine.
Okay, brilliant.
And we'll do a little book trade.
Let's do it.
There it is.
Let's do it.
Real quick, and I am interested, your supplement line. Tell me about your supplement line, Eddie, and how you got started with that. So it's Beast Supplements?
Yeah, Beast Pharm. Right. So basically, I've been working with all different companies for a number of years, since before I won the World's Strongest Man. And then it just got to the point in my career, I was like, I've just made so much money for these big companies. And when I'm done, when I'm retired and when I've sort of away from the social media, I got no benefit at all. So I thought now's the time to invest, build a business, and then put all the effort and work into it. And then I've got something that will grow and live on after I've, fully retired. Maybe my son can take it on, so I thought it was just the right time. I started it in September last year. It's just the right time in my career to do it.
Nice. And I look forward to also receiving some supplements as well when the book comes.
100%.
I'm from Lancashire, mate. I'm always on the tech. I'm always trying to get a freebie.
I'll send it all. There's a product called Big Z. It's getting rave reviews at the minute. And it's a sleep supplement. So you take 3 tablets, and it, honestly, everyone that said this took it is like, fuck me, best night's sleep of my life. So I'll make sure you get some.
Perfect. Harrington, question number 2, please.
Okay. So this one is, I believe it's from Scottish Steve. He said, with the direction that combat sports is going, where we're getting sillier and sillier events, do you see a situation where you could fight a tiger, a bear, any kind of an animal? And at what point do you say, no, I'm not fighting, a tiger shark?
I told you, Eddie.
They're dumb questions.
Yeah. Has that ever happened? Have we ever actually seen a man versus an animal? Have we actually seen that?
Habib Nurmagomedov was wrestling a bear when he was a kid, but a bear with no claws and stuff like that, I don't think so. I don't think it'll ever happen. I just don't think, it's one of those things. I think we'd love to see it. Didn't Mike Tyson once go to a zoo and wanted to fight a big gorilla? That would have been gold. This is a very childish question that I'm going to ask, but against a primate, Eddie, do you think you can match the strength of them? And have you ever met anyone that I don't know, you've had to throw them out in a nightclub or whatever, and you're like, fucking hell, this guy's strong? Or is it literally when you get hold of people, you're like, you're all just little weaklings, you're all just little shrimps?
Well, I'll say this, right? So the day I won the World's Strongest Man, I was 430 pounds in body weight. The strongest man on the planet. I could squat 1,000 pounds, deadlift 1,000 pounds, bench press 700 pounds. And you honestly, like, I felt as though I could literally, walking around, I felt as though I could run through a brick wall. That's how big and strong I felt. But since then, I have actually met and had like been in physical contact with a chimpanzee, which are nowhere near the size of the big gorillas, and their grip strength is another level. Like, so I think the fully grown silverback gorillas would outdo a prime Eddie Hall, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and it's very humble of you to say so, but you are correct. Does it, I mean, because what you were saying there about your training, Eddie, and the journey that you've been on, it's a ridiculous amount of discipline and dedication and training and just being single-minded, right? This is a lifetime's work that you've achieved, and you've built an incredible life and a brand around yourself. Do you feel, because like mixed martial arts now is starting to get the real recognition that it deserves, do you feel like strongman competitions and the world that you're involved with gets the recognition that it deserves?
I don't think it does. I think it's a great platform. Like, for me, winning the World's Strongest Man gave me the keys to the doors to open up my career, I'll be honest. But I know people that have won the World's Strongest Man and then gone back to work full-time jobs. So you have got to be able to capitalize on that, you know, because that little bit of exposure that strongman gives you is great, but unless you've got the personality to expand on that, then you might as well not bother winning it. Yeah,
and it's the same in everything with life. You know, like for me, when I had my eye issue, I was fighting. I've got no complaints about the money that I earned, but I'm like, I've got to set myself up outside of fighting whilst I was doing it, because when you're retired, no one cares. You're yesterday's news. And I think you're a great example. And without sounding like a wanker, I'm a great example. Like, you've got to be cognizant of building your brand and like trying to open other doors with whatever field that it is that you're in, you know. So
yeah, no, exactly. I mean, you've done it amazing with the film stuff. I've done film work as well. Just started. I've got 2 movies this year, 1 next year. Nice. And I even went to the point of, when I won the World's Strongest Man, I went and did acting lessons once a week, and I did that solid for 3 years. You know, and it's eventually led to somewhere, but you've got to work at it. You know, nothing's handed to you.
No, absolutely right. Okay, I'm going to apologize in advance. Harrington, last question. Nothing about animals.
Okay. Well, I pocketed the ultra silly one. For this one, I thought was pretty good. From Popcorn Catalyst, he said, if you had one more go at the World's Strongest Series just to settle the score with Thor, would you do it? I know you won that time. Will you if you could?
I mean, look, I could go back to Strongman, and I could probably do very, very well. I made the decision to win the World's Strongest Man once and walk away. And people call me a pussy, and people say, you know, you're a shithouse for doing that. But honestly, that was the hardest decision for me to do. The easy thing would have been to stay in the sport and win more World's Strongest Man titles. That would have been the easier choice for me. That sounds daft to say, but like making myself walk away and ride that wave and get healthy and start getting into films and building my brand was so much more important to me than going and winning more World's Strongest Man titles. Where'd you go with it? You know, I won the World's Strongest Man. I lifted half a ton. If you win it twice, well done. 3 times, well done. Like you go and pull 501 kilo, 502 kilo, 503 kilo. Who gives a f***? You know, you've once you're the World's Strongest Man, you're the World's Strongest Man. Once you've lifted half a ton off the floor, you've done it. You know, you've been there and got the trophy, haven't you? So why?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, though, because it takes a lot of balls to do that as well, because obviously it's not easy to do what you did. But when you are who you are, or someone else in your field, that is their life. And to a certain degree, that's their comfort zone. When you got to branch out outside of that, take on new challenges, do something new, you know, explore other avenues and test yourself as a human being. That takes real balls to do that.
It does. You know, it really does. It sounds daft to say that I actually did the hard choice in retiring, but it was the hard choice, but it's paid off much better than what would have been if I'd have stayed in strongman. Put it this way, Michael, I think winning the world's strongest man, I think the prize money this year was, I'm gonna hazard a guess, it was like $70,000. Yeah, and that's for a year's work, a year's commitment. Of course, you can earn more money from other shows, but you know, it's just where the money is the aftermath. That's a definite in strongman. You only make money off your personality. As I say, it's that key to open the doors to progress. Because if you go and do strongman, let's say I did it over 10 years and then you retire, all you've got is trophies. You know, all that business opportunity, all those movies are gone. You know, so you have got to pick a path, and it's hard to do so.
Yeah. Well, very well said, Eddie. And you're an inspiration to a lot of people. And I think a lot of people listening to that, it's good for them to hear, not from a strongman opportunity, not from a fighter opportunity, but whatever it is that you're doing in life, it's the same kind of attitude that you got to have. So congratulations on everything, Eddie. I'll let you go. I enjoyed talking to you. Good luck in the fight. I know I was being a little bit flippant, but taking on two guys, that takes a lot of balls as well, man. That does. Are you nervous about that?
Of course I am. You know, a lot can happen. There's a lot on the line, you know. Yeah. We went over the rules with the guys the other day, and, you know, we're talking like I could be on top of one, and one could just come up, take a run up and smack me in the side of the head. And it's the ones you don't see that can really hurt, you know. And I'm open to that, you know. So I'm a big risk. It's both ways. It's dangerous of both ways.
Well, no, it is both. It's dangerous both ways for sure. Eddie, as I said, pleasure talking to you. Thank you for your time again. Absolute inspiration. Take care. Thank you for your time. And I'll be waiting for that book. I'll be waiting for the Beast Pharm. And shoot me your address. I'll send you one of mine. Eddie, you're the man. Take care, brother.
Thank you, Michael. Big love, bro.
Big love indeed. There he is, the Beast man himself.